Morning, Kevin.
Morning, Sully. How are you doing today?
Good, man. Starting to get that baseball fever going a little bit with the 65 degrees today.
Yeah, I hear you. You know, let's talk a little hoops though. Get off that wrestling stuff. you got to get away from that wrestling stuff.
Hey, man,
we segments of high school wrestling.
We got
get talking hoops now.
We got a lot of wrestling fans out there. They're on their way to these hour-long drives to districts, so we got to keep them entertained.
I'll tell you what, though. You know, people know I'm not a big wrestling guy, but the wrestling community itself may be the tightest of all sports there are, because they follow everybody everywhere, and you know they love their sport. You know, like, I'm not a big fan, never have been, but for those that enjoy it and those that love it, you know, they're all in. So, you know.
You know what's crazy? You talk to wrestling guys, and they'll give you a recap of a third place district match from like 2004.
they know they're fanatical about it.
Yeah,
they are fanatical. So, you know, hats off to them. That drive
they know
down to Southern is not that long.
I don't know, man. There's really no easy way to get there.
No, there may not be an easy way to get there, but
it's a solid hour. It's a solid hour and 15 at least on a school bus.
That's all right. You know it's coming. You know how long it's going to be. You know, what are you going to do? So sit back and put your headphones in and just take it easy on the way over.
There you go. Listen to some Yes on the way or whatever. I don't think kids are listening to classic rock on the way.
No, not really.
So what's going on in the hoops world, Kevin?
The hoops world, we're coming towards the end. We got about another week or so left, and then we're going to get into the tournament. So this is another big weekend for a couple showcases. You have the Shoot Down Cancer Showcase this weekend at St. Augustine, run by Dave Catalana, and always a very nice 2-day event there at St. Augustine. Raises a lot of money for Children's Hospital for the oncology division, and the matchups there. The matchups, people may look at them and say that they're not the greatest in the world, but the point of that whole situation down there is to raise money, and every dime goes to CHOP. So that's a very, very worthwhile event to attend. And then you got Camden's got a little four game event today also, Camden High Invitational, with the marquee game being at 4:00 with Bob Hurley and St. Anthony. So playing Camden. So some big hoops today. We'll have some big hoops games next week, and then it's tournament time. So wrestling fans can take the spotlight this weekend with their districts. And then, basketball will have its opportunity when the tournament starts on the 28th, something like that.
Hey, we got regions next week as well. So wrestling fans trying to work their way into the conversation here.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. Wrestling it starts low, and it's all uphill, and it gets better and better. I understand that.
What do you make of tonight's game, St. Augustine Trenton Catholic? I don't know much about Trenton Catholic. I know they're generally one of the top teams in the state.
Yeah, Trenton Catholic has a very good reputation. They've been they've been one of the better teams in the state in non-public for a few years now, and I don't think this is the same Trenton Catholic team that we've seen in the last couple of years. But Trenton Catholic has produced some very, very good basketball players. Malachi Richardson is in the NBA this year. I think he's in I cannot remember what team he's with, but he's a rookie in the NBA. So they're always a very, very talented team. They're going to, that's going to be a very good game for St. Augustine. St. Augustine's had a stretch of games where, they've been tested, and today's another one where they're going to be tested a little bit. And they lose to St. Anthony on Tuesday by a point. They lose to Camden last Saturday in overtime. Last Saturday's game clearly wasn't one of their better efforts. They looked a little sluggish at times, but they rebounded against St. Anthony. And even though you take an L up in Jersey City, they clearly showed that they were ready to play, and they'll be ready. Paul Rodeo is not the winningest coach in South Jersey by accident, and it's the final game of the day today at St. Augustine, so they'll be ready to play, and I expect them to come out with another W.
Yeah, they've really been tested, like you said, in the past week or so, and they need that. I mean, they kind of rolled over to Cape Atlantic League this year and didn't really have a whole lot of competition, aside from teams like Atlantic City. But they really need these kind of games to get them ready for state playoffs.
Yeah, the schedule is set up. No accident as to how the schedule's set up when you get out of these non-league games. And, especially with the Cal tournament coming in, too, I don't think that's going to be a cakewalk. Teams have shown that, on any given night they can put it together and then they can play. So they've got themselves a nice little stretch. The games, like we said, starting with Camden last week, this 2 week stretch of time before the tournament begins, they're going to have some decent games. They'll be able to, get their lineup set and really, zone in on what's going to happen. So I think this is a good opportunity for them again today to play a high quality team and get themselves, even some more, ride some more momentum into the next week and so.
Yeah, really going to test them mentally too, because if they are able to make it to that Cal final, you're looking at 4 games in 7 days.
Yeah, that's at this point teams are getting a little tired. But there's a reason why kids do they do the suicide drills and the coaches have them running and stuff, because you've got to be ready to play. You can't now become a tired basketball team. So I think 4 games in 7 days for high school kids. I think most of them can handle it. You get to that third game, maybe that fourth game. The fourth game is obviously especially, but I think they'll be fine. It's not anything that hasn't been done before. So, and it's the Cal tournament. People, everybody's shooting for St. Augustine. Everybody's going to bring their A game. They're going to be going for that target on Prep's back. So, they'll be ready to play.
Talking with Kevin Minnick of the Courier-Post. Kevin, who's really on the upswing here in the last week or so as we get closer to state playoff time next week, or in about 8 days?
Yeah, about 8 days. It's the teams that have stayed at the top of their game. For the last month or so. A team I really like is Shawnee in South 4. I think they've been consistently strong all season. Only have 2 losses. They'll have a big game on Monday, 3:00 at Bishop Eustace. Bishop Eustace, another team, number 2 right now in our rankings. They're a team another team that's had a real solid season. 2 losses to Camden Catholic and a loss to Paul VI, but they're a team that they get a W over Camden on Thursday night. They're a team that is really come together. There's a nice rotation amongst the 7 or 8 kids that play. So Bishop Eustace is another team that could is getting themselves together. They've got a very tough week. They've got Shawnee, Lenape, and then they end their regular season at St. Anthony. So I really like the way Bishop Eustace has been playing. I really like the way Shawnee is playing. And I hate to keep it on these Group 4 schools, but Lenape and even Cherokee into the mix. Lenape especially, they have only 3 losses, so they're playing extremely well. They got a kind of a little bit of a tough game this morning. They'll play at Highland at 11:30, which is a real nice game for them and a nice opportunity for Highland to kind of see if they can bounce back, from a tough loss that they had earlier in the week at Williamstown. So this is the time. These next couple of games for most teams are going to be very decent games. We're not playing cupcakes to kind of close out the season. So everybody wants to be on a roll going into the playoffs. You don't want to be on an extended losing streak, but here's the time. Play some decent teams. Win or lose, take something out of it, and get ready for that first round game.
Yeah, I tell you what, that South Jersey Group 4 tournament is going to be really fun to watch. That's going to be really tough for Atlantic City to defend that title.
Yeah, South 4 is always tough, and AC is going to have to get past Eastern. And like we talked last week, Eastern's a team right now you look at their record, I believe they're 12-12, and you say, wow, 12-12, that's not really that great. But, they've won some games. They've lost games in their division, the Olympic American. They lost some games out of conference that are tough, and they lost to AC in a tough one. You know, it's always tough to kind of bounce back and beat a team twice, but in a non-league type of scenario. So AC's got a tough road. You know, I see them. You know, they're going to have Eastern. I see them then possibly, if they were to advance, to have to face Cherokee. But I think at that point, you know, the finalist on that side of the bracket is going to come out of one of those two teams. I'm not completely sold on Toms River North as the top seed, but you know, I think AC, you know, if they can put things together, and I think they're starting to do so, then maybe they can make a little bit of a run and get themselves to another final.
I'll tell you what, a team in South Jersey Group 3 I would keep an eye on, and we mentioned this last week, is Delsey. I think they're starting to play pretty well, and they could be one of those surprise teams in Group 3 that could maybe make it into the finals.
You know, Delsey, playing well all season, had a tough game the other night, lost to Woodstown, but you know, I think that they can get it together, and that second-round game potentially against Mainland would be a very, very entertaining game we talked about before. You know, I think Delsey has an opportunity to get themselves through. I mean, you know, I think Delsey or Mainland can be a team that can make it to a final. You know, either one of those, whichever one advances. But on the other side of the bracket, you know, I think a team like a Highland right now is a team to watch out for, and you know, they've got some experience. They were in the final last year. They're a 2 seed, so you know they get the home court throughout. You know, if they get to the final against a team other than Central Regional, they have a home game again. So you know, three's got some possibilities.
Good stuff as always, Kevin. We'll see what happens with Highland today up against the break, but we'll catch up with you next week, and we'll dive more into the playoff brackets and see what's going on as these teams head into state playoff time.
Yeah, let's break it down next week. We'll give you some. Maybe we'll even give you some predictions.
Nice. All right. Looking forward to it.
All right. So thanks again. I appreciate your time.
Yep. Thanks, Kevin.
All right. Have a good day.
That was Kevin Minnick of the Courier-Post. Always does a great job covering South Jersey basketball. We'll check in with him next week, break down some of the playoffs, which begin a week from Monday.